back to Frederick Advice Givers, episode 172. I am Eric Verdi, and to my right here today, this week, is Danielle Doll, the Associate Director of the Downtown Frederick Partnership. So Danielle and Downtown Frederick Partnership put on numerous events throughout the year. The biggest probably ongoing is the Alive at 5, right? We just had Fire and Ice, which, I used to live in downtown Frederick. I've been here my entire life. The three biggest nights, in my opinion, were St. Patrick's Day, was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Now, this is younger when I used to go to the bars, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and then in the streets, which you told me before, in the streets is not something that's organized by you guys.
No. Yeah.
But this past weekend, Fire and Ice had like 30,000 people. I saw on Facebook or Instagram or someplace that you were telling people to park at Harry Grove.
The police department was recommending that. Yeah, it's easier to park out of town that day than it is to try to come in.
It was insane. They started shutting down the streets.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Wow.
We knew we would get a lot of people, but there were a lot of extra folks that came, which is great. But
right.
How do you squeeze them all into the city, right?
Well, I think part of it was coming off of the week of having negative temperature and people were just looking to get out.
Yeah, they were cooped up for sure.
On top of you guys do a great job running that event.
And thank you.
So Danielle, let's go to a personal level here. For our audience that doesn't know you,
sure.
Give us your background, who you are, what do you enjoy doing in your spare time, where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I was born here in Frederick.
Okay.
I graduated from TJ High School. So I'm a local, and I went to Elizabethtown College in Pennsylvania, so about 90 miles from here, not very far. After I graduated from college, I came back here, but worked in DC for about 8 years, and was doing the commute, which at the time it was bad, but it wasn't as bad as it is now. And then worked in various large nonprofits in DC.
So that's that's your background, your nonprofit or your marketing or your, because I know you do a lot of event organization.
Yeah, so I started, my first job was at the American Heart Association in the advocacy office. So I spent a lot of time working with our volunteers all across the country. We had state staff all across the country, contacting legislators, taking them to Capitol Hill to share their stories about how heart disease or stroke impacted them. So it was a very rewarding job because you're seeing the impact that you're making with these people every day when they go and talk to their legislator and share their story. So I started with that and then stayed kind of in the health nonprofit world, mainly in online communications, advocacy, fundraising, a little bit of marketing, but then started here in 2013, and I started out doing events. That was the job that I took, and Kara's our executive director here. Kara recognized that I was not an events person. I will sign up and I will volunteer all day. I will work from sun up to sundown and I will work my butt off, but logistics and coordinating all of that, that's not my favorite thing. So I moved into the fundraising role as the development officer and then moved into the associate director role. So, yeah.
So did you live in DC at all, or you went to PA?
No.
You came back here and you said you're married? Children?
No children.
No children. So where's your husband from?
So he's from Frederick too. We went to high school together.
So he's a TJ guy too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm a cadet.
Yeah, that's okay.
So we're
we live in Frederick High area now, so I've always appreciated the city schools. I think you gain, my experience at TJ I think was very rewarding and kind of helped me become a very well-rounded person, so I wouldn't trade it for the world. So I'm a supporter of the city schools for sure.
I totally agree with that. I grew up down near Urbana before Urbana High School was there, so my high school was Frederick High. It took me 45 minutes, 50 minutes on a bus ride to get there. But coming from out there, especially in the early 90s to West Frederick and then Frederick High, it was totally different culture. So I appreciated. It's good to get to mix with people that you don't grow up with.
Right.
So
you're exposed to a lot more.
You are exposed to a lot more and different views and different. You can appreciate where they come, where other people come from, and where you come from, and it's neat to interact with people from different backgrounds.
Yeah, everybody's got a story.
Exactly.
And I've always been intrigued. I'm very intrigued by people and kind of getting to know them and where they're coming from and the experiences that they've gained that I haven't, or the things that they deal with that I don't. So I've kind of that background professionally. I'm very into stories and kind of the the impact those can have on people.
Awesome. So let's talk about Downtown Frederick Partnership real quick. Nonprofit, 501c3. How many staff employees do you have? You're full-time. How many full-time employees, and how many additional staff do you have?
So there are 4 of us that run the office, or run the partnership. We are all full-time. So we are supported by a lot of volunteers, which we love. Really Alive at 5 could not happen without those volunteers. And we have volunteers for our first Saturday and movie night and other smaller events. But a staff of 4, a very supportive board of directors, which is great. We have a 25-person board, which is large.
Really?
But it runs very, very well. So it's nice to have a very effective board, very engaged board, and they're always willing to help out when we need them.
Right.
So.
Now I know the partnership is big into businesses downtown. I know you are good at getting potential legislation changed with like the eating outdoors. I know you guys were the driver behind that. You wanted to open up Frederick and have more outdoor dining, right?
Yeah, the restaurants we partnered with them.
We partnered with the restaurants. With your pull, you guys were able, because for years, I've lived in Frederick, you've lived in Frederick our entire lives, you'd walk downtown Frederick and you wouldn't see anybody eating outside.
Yeah.
And now, that's part of the beauty of Frederick. Anywhere I go, when I have people that say, I moved to Frederick and I came to downtown Frederick, I lived in New York, I lived in Ohio, I lived wherever, and once I came to downtown Frederick, I was in love.
Yeah.
It's an awesome town. So I know you guys have a lot of pull there and a lot of influence, and we have cities nearby, I'm not going to name them, that are not run as well as Frederick because of your guys' influence. Yeah,
the partnership, we implement the Main Street program, so it's a national program that focuses on preservation-based economic development. So we work very closely. We have boundaries, that are set with the state, and we've expanded those boundaries in the last few years, but we work really closely with all the businesses. We want to make sure our residents are happy and people are moving to downtown, and then ultimately visitors too.
Awesome. So Danielle, let's take this back to a personal level. What is the last purchase that you splurged on for yourself or your family?
We actually had to buy a new car. That's probably the biggest purchase that comes top of mind, with the car payment, obviously, that's attached to it. But my husband was working down in Rockville and commuting. So he and I, you asked me if we ever lived in DC, we never did. I always campaigned for that, but I'm totally fine and content living in Frederick. But, that commuting can be a little tough on your car.
Oh, yes, it can. And what hobby or interest outside of work do you spend hours doing?
I love being outside and being active. So right now it's been a little tough.
Hiking, running, boating, biking?
Hiking, yes. I've been trying to do a little bit more hiking. I grew up in the city, so naturally I think, street or gym or, not so much go to the mountains. So I've been doing a little bit more of that, but I spend a lot of time working out. My mom had a dance studio for a long time, so I've always been in the active playing sports world. But being outside is like my favorite hobby, with my dog, with my husband, by myself.
Did you play sports in high school?
Yep.
What did you play?
I played volleyball and lacrosse, and I played lacrosse in college.
Did you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I could tell you're a volleyball player. I mean, you're much taller than me.
Gives it away.
Yeah.
And I have heels on today, so.
Okay. So Danielle, when you wake up in the morning, what's that drive inside of you? Because, you might have this might be a job for you, but you wouldn't do what you've done for 5 years. You wouldn't have the impact in the community if you didn't have a why or a drive inside of you.
Yeah. To be honest, when I wake up every morning, I am happy that I woke up. I feel like I've been through a lot of life stuff in the last couple years and lost friends and family members and been kind of in some crazy situations. So, when I wake up in the morning, I'm just grateful that I woke up. And I kind of look at every day as a new opportunity to do something better. This is a very serious thing. It's very funny, but when my parents asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up, I have always said that I wanted to save the world, and they were like, I don't know how this is gonna work and how we're gonna tell her that isn't really a job. But just waking up, coming to work for the partnership, being in downtown Frederick, I want people to have a good experience when they come here. I want them to have something memorable that's positive. So I kind of carry that through with my life, my interactions with you today, and everybody that I encounter. I want to make the world a little bit better and a little bit nicer, because it can be pretty tough sometimes. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's good to have that moonshot. Save the world. If everything you do, I mean, even minor daily activities, if that's your ultimate goal, as long as you're shooting towards that, it's okay. Then you have a North Star, right? You have something to shoot for.
My husband always jokes, I'll have something that happens and it really gets me down, and he's like, "Did you lose faith in humanity?" And I'm like, "Nope, still going, still got it." So. Awesome.
All right, Danielle, so the next question, I'm going to frame a little bit different because you're not a business owner or entrepreneur, even though you've helped grow. And Downtown Frederick Partnership has been around for 28 years? Mm-hmm. And you've been here the last 5, and probably until, 7, 8, 9 years ago, I didn't even know about it. Mm-hmm. But I know you have a huge influence, a huge impact in the community. And what I found with what I do on the side is how many nonprofits are in Frederick. Frederick's great for helping individuals.
Yeah, it's great.
And I've met with people that are just starting out. I've met with people that have been around 15, 20, 30 years. What's one piece of advice that maybe you would give another nonprofit that's just starting out that journey to helping those in the community?
Yeah. It's interesting coming from a large nonprofit world where I was one of thousands of employees to now one of 4. And actually when we started, we were only 3, so now we've grown to 4. But, especially if you're new, it can be very intimidating because you're asked to take on a lot, and a lot of people, you're trying to solve a lot of problems with limited resources. And in the nonprofit world, it's hard to say no to folks, which is okay, and it can be overwhelming. But you just have to know at the end of the day that, whatever you're going to do to get to that end goal, there will be some screw ups and things that are crazy along the way. But as long as you keep your sight on that end goal and the people that you want to serve, if it's helping children, be fed on the weekends, like blessings in a backpack or something like that, I think just staying focused and know that, it's okay to say no. It's also okay to say yes. When I was younger, my mom, her advice that she would give all of her dance students was they would never, were never allowed to use the word can't. So that was a rule. And so I've kind of carried that into my own life, and I think it's very applicable to the nonprofit world as well. You can always do it, even if it's this huge feat. Eliminating that from your vocabulary is quite helpful. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you're always evolving, always trying to get better. Yeah. And when you say you can't do something, you won't do it.
Yeah.
If you have that mindset, you won't do it.
And working in nonprofits, it's one of the hardest jobs I've had. Customer service was pretty tough, and in retail, I worked in retail kind of as I went through school and stuff. But nonprofits, it's tough. But at the end of the day, if you're focused on that mission and who you're serving and who you're helping, it's really, really touching. And all of that hard work and all of that energy is
awesome.
Is enough.
Awesome. All right, so on the flip side now, I'm going to frame this question a little bit different too, because you guys do such a great job with all the events that you put on. The Alive at 5.
Yeah, thanks.
Fire and Ice, everything that you guys do. What is one event or one idea that you guys had that didn't work out like you thought it would? I know you don't always hit home runs. You can't always hit home runs on everything you do. So what is something you guys implemented or you were thinking about implementing that didn't come to fruition or didn't work out like you thought it would?
I mean, obviously, being on the heels of Fire and Ice, it was a huge event that we've done a lot of planning for. And if you, you're not planning enough, then obviously failures can come along. So this event this past weekend was a little bit crazy, but we figured out now, and we'll have a lot of post-event meetings.
That wasn't a failure.
Wasn't. It's just we like everyone to have a good experience, right? And we want you to connect in downtown Frederick. But one event that comes top of mind was it's probably been like 3 or 4 years. We had cornhole tournaments on the creek.
Okay.
And every time we'd have them, it was like the registration would lag, or I don't know what it was.
Okay.
And cornhole was so popular at the time. Everybody was buying their customized boards, and we thought for sure it would be a success. But it wasn't a total failure, but it was just something that didn't take off like we thought.
It hadn't stuck around.
No,
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, and then we only did 2 seasons of it. We kind of canceled it, and then everybody started asking why we weren't doing a cornhole tournament. And I'm like, where were you 3 years ago? We could have used you as a team. But yeah, so you live and learn, especially with events as they evolve and grow, like Fire and Ice. You're constantly making adjustments, and if they're not working, then just, it's okay to kill it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing, that's where nonprofits, even though nonprofits and business kind of align, if you try something in business and it doesn't work, you got to cut it.
Right. Yeah.
In the last 3 years, what's a choice that either you or the Downtown Frederick Partnership has made that's led you to where you are today in your growth?
Yeah, so we, everyone knows us mostly for our events. Because they're obviously very visible and everybody gets to participate. We work really closely with the businesses and like I said, the residents on programs and making resources available to help them continue to grow too. So we have programs like Mission Interior, which focuses on the insides of buildings, so that the businesses can keep, if they need a floor replaced or a ceiling redone, we like to help them with that to ensure longevity and that they can keep their doors open, because obviously folks, the retail world has been changing and the focus on online and Amazon and all of that. Me personally, I don't think it's killing. I've never thought that it would kill businesses, especially small businesses like downtown. So we've kind of just been focused on continuing to offer those programs. Our Competitive Edge series is a workshop. We have a workshop a month where we bring in speakers and they share information about marketing or best practices for window displays. Continuing to bring those resources to those folks to make sure that they're growing and they'll be with us downtown. So that's something that we've been doing more and more, and the programming has gotten better each year. So I think it's definitely helped with the businesses and keeping them downtown and their longevity. But downtown Frederick, the partnership wouldn't be able to do it if we didn't have the great businesses that we have downtown, and even the residents too. We worked on a cigarette butt receptacle program. The residents were complaining of some cigarette butt litter and tip litter, and we noticed it too. So we've applied for grants, gotten the receptacles, and been focused more on cleaning and greening efforts. So just kind of constantly evolving, listening to what people are looking for, what they're in need of, and going from there.
Awesome. So the Downtown Frederick gift card that I can buy at the tourism center, or I guess various shops throughout. Is that anything with you guys, or is that something totally different?
Yeah, so we manage the program.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, it's something that we saw in another community a long time ago, and we borrowed that idea.
Dude, it's great. That's like teacher gifts for my son's teachers. Like my wife sends me down and says, get X, Y, and Z, and it's always downtown. Who doesn't love the downtown Frederick gift cards?
Well, you can use them at virtually all of the businesses downtown, but we manage the program, and it's so important. The partnership loses a little bit of money on it, but that's okay, because we know that the money is being spent here. It's staying
back in Frederick, right?
So it makes a great gift if you're ever looking for it.
It makes a super gift.
Yeah, I've gotten like maybe one in my life.
That's it?
Isn't it funny? Yeah. And Kara says the same thing. So we're like, do people not recognize that we shop pretty much only downtown?
Exactly.
So anyway.
Cool. Funny. All right, so I have sat across the microphone from 171 other guests. I get to learn by asking questions. So you and I have met before. We've interacted before. We have mutual friends. So we have a little background, but I want to flip the script and have you ask me a question.
So I think I'm interested in this because, like I said, I like to hear people's stories and where they're coming from and kind of their life experiences, what they're bringing to the table. In your interviews, what piece of advice did someone pass along to you that really stuck with you? Or maybe they said something that
there's a common
has resonated.
Thread throughout some of the answers is that basically don't overanalyze. You need to have a plan, but the execution is key. The first time you try something, it's not the finished product.
Right.
But a lot of people, a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, people in general, they have a hard time just starting. Just start.
Yeah.
Just start. It's not gonna be great.
Right.
You know, the first advice givers that we did 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago now, was horrible. You know, when I look back, it was horrible,
Right.
but I started. And then I did a second,
Yeah.
a third, and fourth, and now 172
Yeah, it's
later.
awesome. That's great.
So that, I don't know if there was a specific piece of advice that somebody
Okay.
gave me that was like an aha.
Yeah.
Everybody that's lived has a unique perspective on their life. Like we talked, I went to
Yeah.
Frederick High, you went to TJ.
Sure.
Everybody's got a story to tell. Everybody's got a unique perspective on life. But the one common thread throughout business owners and entrepreneurs is just do it. Just start.
That's good advice for me.
Start.
Right. I have, maybe it's like my retirement plan. I don't know.
Right.
But I really want to open up a business, and I have this whole concept. I have a business plan in the works, and I'm just sitting and waiting for when I feel like it's the right time.
So what I could tell you.
So I appreciate the advice.
What I could tell you is just do something every day, just a little bit, even if it's only 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Just write out a plan, write a goal, do something, or take a little step forward, take another little step forward, and another little step. Then you've actually made it somewhere.
Yeah.
So just do something every day.
Yeah. I feel like it's not the right time yet, but
That's okay.
I've been
It
working
doesn't
on
matter if it's the right time or not. You got to take the little steps. So when it is the right, it's never.
Right.
So that's another common
It's
thing.
never the right time.
It's never the right time. Oh,
Right.
wait till next year. Wait till next week. Well, okay, a family member got sick, or
life happens.
Life happens.
Yeah. No, I've been.
Or I had to buy a new car.
Yep, that happens too.
Right.
Yeah. No, I've been taking my little steps.
Okay. Good.
And if I haven't put it in paper, it's still up here and I can get it down. But
Cool.
yeah, I appreciate that.
So Danielle, what failure or loss, and I've had people cry during this answer. It can be anything. What failure or loss has helped mold you into the person you are? Not necessarily. I don't care about business. Like the person.
Yeah. So a lot of my friends and folks in the community know the story. But my mom, I mentioned her. She owned a dance studio, and so she had the studio for about 30 years in Walkersville, actually behind your cousin's building.
Okay.
And she was diagnosed with a brain tumor in 2010. It was cancerous. It was too deep to operate. She did radiation and did fine, kept the business going. In April 2015, she fell down the stairs and gave herself a traumatic brain injury. So the combination of the brain tumor, the traumatic brain injury, it reset everything. And obviously anybody in this situation, when you see one of your parents so vulnerable and in this very fragile state, it's alarming and obviously upsetting. So she was kind of in and out of therapy places as long as insurance would keep her and they wouldn't kick her out, which is a whole other issue going on. But so she went from teaching dance classes, and she had 300 students every year in the studio. Speaking of like business, it was hard because we went through this situation with mom, and we were caring for her, and I was looking out for my dad and my brother and our family, and trying to finish out the dance studio year. And it wasn't my business. I was there for a long time teaching classes, but I eventually had to make the decision to kind of close it. My dad still owns the building over there, but it wasn't my passion, and I didn't want to do it half-heartedly. And to her, we weren't sure if she was going to get better. So anyway, she did end up passing away just from the body deteriorating and not getting enough care. So I don't know if it's shaped me per se, but that whole experience, the traumatic event, and kind of all of the things that spider out from that. It's definitely, I've had a lot of changes and just kind of my mentality and the way I look at things. So I don't know that it's totally changed me yet. I think it's still changing me, and I'm still going through all this. And at times it's been really hard because grief is not easy.
Right.
And it never goes away. So, it's just kind of navigating it and keeping focus on, like, I woke up today, it's a good day, right? And going from there and keeping those goals and those things that you're setting in mind as you go through the day. That's obviously a big life-changing event that's happened in the last, I forget what year, 3 years. So, yeah.
How's your dad doing?
He's good. I give him a lot of credit. Speaking of Alive at 5, every Thursday, she passed away in August, and then the next season of Alive at 5, he was throwing himself out there. He was just coming to Alive at 5.
Oh, really?
People are like, I saw your dad last night, and I'm not at the event. And I'm like, Dad, call me, text me, I'll come hang out with you. But he
for him.
recognized
Good
that
for
he
him.
needed to kind of keep going and putting himself out there and not kind of succumbing to that deep, dark grief that's so easy to fall into. So I admire him a lot for that, because that's scary to me, and I appear as an extrovert, but I'm a little bit introverted.
Right.
So yeah, he's okay. Thanks for asking.
Good for your dad.
Yeah.
So where do you see yourself, and this can either be you or the Downtown Frederick Partnership, however you want to answer this, in 3 years and then in 10 years?
Ooh. That's always a hard question to answer.
Well, at some point you're going to open up this shop, this
Maybe,
business you're
I don't
talking
know.
about.
Maybe I'll just sell intellectual property or something. I don't know. And like I said, maybe it's my retirement
There
thing
you
when
go.
I move to the beach one day. I might leave downtown Frederick. I don't know. It's not for certain. But, I think just looking at downtown Frederick, I'll answer it from that perspective. It's definitely growing, and a lot of people are coming here and enjoying what we've got to offer. So I think as it continues to grow in visibility over the next few years, we'll obviously be making adjustments and not maybe adding more programming, but fine-tuning or offering some other fun stuff to better the community. But I think we'll definitely keep growing as Frederick does. And kind of keep finding ways for people to come back, because we know we got a lot of folks from the DC metro, Baltimore, PA area. Once they come once, that's cool, but I want them to come back 3 and 4 times, not just twice or once. So I think continuing to find ways to offer, whether it's programming through events or experiences or just opportunities for people to connect in downtown Frederick. I think that's where we'll be in the next couple of years for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So now is the promo time. So how would listeners and viewers find out about the events of Downtown Frederick Partnership? And more importantly, for the purposes of this interview, if they wanted to donate or become a sponsor, or how would they do that?
Yeah, so all of our information is available on our website, so www.downtownfrederick.org. I feel so old school saying www.
Everybody knows
so
that.
downtownfrederick.org.
Downtownfrederick.org.
Yeah. But we are a nonprofit, so obviously, all of the money that people donate to us, we put right back into the downtown. We put it into the events, obviously, that we offer the community. We give it to the businesses in competitive edge and workshops. We do advocacy efforts and help businesses with sidewalk cafes and that kind of thing. So, we'll take, obviously we're a nonprofit, so we'll take whatever amount you can give. No amount is too small. And all of that information and how you can donate is on the website. One of the big things that I didn't even mention, we just did the holiday lights. We redid the tree lighting this year.
So
tree lights, yeah.
Your electrician that was dressed up as Santa Claus.
Oh, yes.
So
he
does work for me.
Mr. Rick.
Yeah, so my assistant was driving downtown when I guess he was putting up the lights, and she's like, I think I saw Rick dressed up as Santa Claus. I said, no way. So then I talked to him, and we had a job together or something. I called him up a few days later. I was like, Rick, were you dressed up as Santa Claus downtown? He's like, yeah, sure was. I was like, Sue Martin said she saw you. She saw you. So he's a trip, isn't he?
Yeah, they do all of the lights on the businesses downtown for us. So it's a great program that we offer people. We pay for the
that's you guys
the
do
labor,
that. Okay.
and then the maintenance is on the stores. But yeah, we just redid the tree lights though. The city had previously done them, so they're wrapping. But
awesome.
Yeah. So we're always doing something in downtown Frederick. But
Awesome.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
So that was Danielle Doll, episode 172 of Frederick Advice Givers with the Downtown Frederick Partnership, and we are out.